The Athletic reporting that the Cardinals are signing three-time All-Star shortstop Brandon Crawford. So I don't know what you would like me to say about that, because he's a name player. He's a respected player. He's been in the game for a long time. Reputation as an excellent competitor. He's a tough guy. Always considered to be a really terrific leader in the Giants clubhouse. And so all of that is good. All of that is positive. All of that has, generated a lot of respect for him. But, yeah, there was a but. He's 37 years old. In the last two seasons, he's hit .216, and he's had an on-base percentage of .293. His power is pretty much gone. He's been about 25% below the league average offensively the last couple of years. And then last year, in terms of the StatCast defensive metric, it's called outs above average. Brandon Crawford, Brendan Donovan, Brandon Crawford, you know how it is. Last season, Brandon Crawford, in terms of outs above average at shortstop, -14. He was one of the worst shortstops defensively in the majors. So make of that what you will. Just so we all are on the same page in understanding that, this is not the Brandon Crawford who was part of those World Series winning teams in 2012 and 2014 out in San Francisco, a guy that's had some really good offensive years, and most recently in 2021. We had an OPS plus of 141, which is 41% above the league average. But, he's what are you going to say? I mean, some players hit a certain age, and the age is never the same for all of them, of course. But they get to a certain point in their career, and they just kind of run out of gas a little bit. And I think it's safe to say Crawford looks like one of those guys. But, boy, 2021, All-Star, he finished fourth in the MVP voting. He won a Gold Glove. He's won, I think, 3 Gold Gloves. And, again, a really respected major league player who broke in with the Giants in 2011. So he's played 13 years. I totally respect the guy. But again, with pardon my redundancy, but I'm just saying, let's keep expectations under control. That's all I'm saying. Because he's not very good defensively anymore, and he hasn't hit the last 2 years. Not much anyway. Slugging percentage the last 2 years around .332. 2 years ago, he's 14% below average offensively, and last year he was 37% below average. So, what does it tell us? Well, I'm not entirely sure, because if this was about Tommy Edman, I don't see the pertinence from the standpoint that Mason Wynn's going to be their shortstop. And if Mason Wynn gets hurt, I guess Tommy Edman would go back at shortstop. But that's not good for him. It's not good for the Cardinals. And I got a problem with this idea of, well, you can shuttle Tommy Edman between center field and shortstop if you need a number 2 shortstop. John Denton said it, so I don't want to steal his opinion on this. But just to repeat what he said on the show Friday, here's a guy Tommy Edman. Here's a guy that gets beat up all the time. He has had a bunch of nagging injuries that slow him down. And the two most, other than catcher, the two most difficult trying positions to play in baseball are center field and shortstop. So do you really want him running back and forth between the two, throwing his body around all the time? I don't know. Will they ever learn about the value of defense? Will they ever learn? So we'll see how this plays out, but I guess this is insurance. I think it's more Mason Wynn insurance than anything else. And one of the things that I don't like about this is that Mason Wynn doesn't need to be pushed. He's 100% motivated. He's 100% professional, even though he's a young guy. He's very self-aware. He knows what his weaknesses are. He knows what he must work on. He knows the list of things he's got to improve at, and he really, really works at it. And he does show that he can learn from his self-awareness. And he's a guy that's very confident. He's a guy that is tough-minded, especially for someone so young. He's a guy that really gets after it. There's nothing soft or weak about him. It's just a matter of playing enough to where he gets to the part where he can do well, do well against major league pitchers. And some people say, well, but he may not do well against major league pitchers this year or the first half. Oh, okay. But you think Brandon Crawford is going to do well against major league pitching? Based on what? What are you looking at? Those of you who would feel that, what are you looking at? Like 2021, or maybe you're looking at 2015. Dude's going to be 37. So I respect him. I'm sure the veterans like him because one thing, we know about Goldie and Arenado, they want veterans. They want older guys. They want Matt Carpenter to come in and be a leader. It's like, we got to go get Crawford. We need him to be a leader. And, this is the thing that you're not going to hear anyone else talk about in the media or write about. This fascinates me because you got two of the best players of the era. Goldschmidt is absolutely going to be a baseball Hall of Famer. Arenado is well on track to be a baseball Hall of Famer. Both those guys are decorated. They've won major awards. They're highly respected within the game. But why do the Cardinals feel compelled that they got to go out and sign all these elderly leader types? Isn't that what, I don't know, two future Hall of Famers ought to be doing? What did I miss? I'm talking about position play. What did I miss? They got plenty of them on the pitching staff. They really do. Gray's a leader. Gibson's a leader. Lynn's a leader. I think now that Miles Miklasz doesn't have that burden of trying to show that he can be, as good as the good Adam Wainwright. And, when Miles Miklasz doesn't feel like he's got to show he's a number one starter and he puts a lot of pressure on himself, I think he's fine as a number two, and I think he's a leader in his own way. I guess I'm going to have to get on to Baseball Reference or something. I'm going to have to see who some of the older guys are still out there, who they are. Right? Just surely there's a, I don't know, maybe can they talk, who can they talk into coming back? Probably not Pujols. Are there any 40-year-olds out there that need a job? I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. But listen, the best of luck, and I mean that. I'm not being sarcastic. The best of luck to Brandon Crawford. And I think Mason Wynn's going to be just fine. I know that I'm Pollyanna or something because I didn't dismiss him as forever a bush leaguer because he hit 172 when he came up from the minors as a very young player who only had limited AAA experience. I realized that. I didn't realize. I'm going to use an esoteric reference for y'all. I now know that I should have dismissed him as Ray Euler. Okay, so, Ray Euler, for those who don't like the esoteric references, Ray Euler was like this kind of smallish, skinny, pretty good defensive shortstop that couldn't hit worth a damn. for the Detroit Tigers. In fact, the Tigers team that won the World Series here, unfortunately, against the Cardinals in '68. But I'd always, whenever they play the Orioles, I always say to my dad, Bernie Sr., I said, what is this Ray Euler guy, man? Dad, does he eat enough food? Is he okay? I think Dad would just tell me, quit worrying about it. It's not a big deal. He's there for his glove. Okay. Gotcha. I'm seriously okay. But anyway, all right. So if the Cardinals wanted to do this, my only question is, why did they wait so long on Nick Ahmed? Because that was a teammate of Goldie's in Arizona and Daniel Descalso's in Arizona. And he's a guy that, although he doesn't hit much anymore, still really good defensively. So if you want some insurance, why not go with the guy that really plays good D? You're not going to find a backup shortstop at this point that's going to be like a big factor offensively. So that guy does not exist right now. So why didn't you prioritize defense? Oh, that's right. The Cardinals, maybe they're not sure they care about that again for a second year in a row. We'll find out. I'm going a little overboard on that because I think they do care about defense. But stuff like this gives you pause. Because, apparently Nick Ahmed is going to, or Ahmed, whoever you say it, and I apologize, he's going to sign a minor league deal with the Giants. So it ain't like he was going to cost the Cardinals anything. So I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm confused, but maybe it's just kind of like a thing where I scratch my head a little bit. Mm-hmm. What are they so worried about? I guess you need to have a backup shortstop. I get it. So if this will prevent them from running Tommy Edman ragged by trying to play him at center field and short, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If that's the point, okay, I can go along with that. Because at some point they got to leave Tommy Edman alone, and if he's going to play one demanding position in center field, and they have indeed, convinced themselves he's Willie Mays based on very limited play. At least the least we can do is just let him play center field without the extra wear and tear that comes with throwing your body around and making long throws and all that stuff from shortstop. Jim Hewer, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Happy Monday to you and our listeners. And
yep.
Questions. That's going through my head right now. You're talking this through. One thing that jumped out at me right away, Bernie, in terms of the Crawford signing was how can you keep Carpenter and Crawford both on the roster at the same time?
And they're both left-handed bats as well, right?
Right, yeah. It was like – and let's be honest, they're aging left-handed bats that haven't been producing in the last couple of years. You can't carry both of those guys.
Outside of Yankee Stadium, they haven't produced.
That's a good point.
That only applies to one of them.
Yes. It's – the other thing is regarding this whole situation, and it tells me, again, that this wrist injury with Tommy Edman, I heard, you're going to laugh, but I was walking from upstairs to downstairs here, and our friends at the Pasta House have a patio, and they've got some speakers. And the song that was playing as I was walking in, about 45 minutes from all this news just kind of becoming, it's going to happen, was We're on the Road to Nowhere. And I was like, wow, how appropriate. Our song from the Talking Heads. It's just one more road to what the heck is going on with this injury with Edman. And I just, wow, it just makes you wonder. Once again, it's one of these storylines from the Cardinals in spring training. Oh, it's going to be fine.
No, I don't want. Listen, anybody who buys that 100% or even buys into that 75% is a sap. Okay, you got to be incredibly naive and gullible to fall for this after having this kind of bait and switch stuff happen a million times. You can't rule out that the possibility of him being ready for the start of the season. You can't rule it out. Mm-hmm. I'm not sitting here saying, "Oh, he's gone to the 60-day IL," and I'm not saying any of that. But, they went from just sort of like, oh, he's fine. He's going to be fine. He's got plenty of time. They went from that to now. For example, one thing Ali Marmol said, when asked about it, let me get down to the quote. It's day to day. There are certain days the wrist feels really good and certain days where it doesn't feel as great. And then the next day it feels good. So we have to take it day by day now until we get a little bit better rhythm. In other words, he ain't close.
It's so true.
Let me just translate. He's not close. And I may even be understating that. And then, in a related note, because if you can't play center field, then here we go. Listen, man, I'm breaking one of my rules, but I'm allowed to do that every now and then. And today, the Marlins and the Cardinals played to a 1-1 tie. No problem with that. The Cardinals got good pitching. That's what I like to see, even though it's only spring training, but I still like to see it. But Dylan Carlson, 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts. He's already in midseason form. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Right?
It's there. It really is. I mean, I was the same way. I mean, he had a couple of bats over the weekend, and it was like, yeah, okay, same old Dylan so far. And I'm not going to overreact, but what do you got to go off of? We got a text that says this, by the way. Says, what's going on? All these Cardinals getting older and older. I don't get it. Then he says, maybe this is the year Dylan Carlson breaks out. I know the Cardinals are hoping that.
Maybe this is the year Victor Scott breaks out and gets a chance to play in the big league sooner than later. He's fun to watch. And I know, because I'm the one who usually delivers these lectures, I know it's only spring training. In fact, I know it's only 3 or 4. Well, if you count the 2 played Saturday, I know it's only 3 exhibition games. But Victor Scott's exciting to watch. You know why Derek Gould is so good? He's good for a lot of reasons. The Cardinals were coming on Bally Sports Midwest, and then I was like, well, I wonder if I can keep an eye on both games. Let me see if SNY, that's the Mets channel, let me see if that's on SNY or whether it's blacked out or not. And then it was on SNY, and I this was strictly based on who was playing in the game in Port St. Lucie. I thought it was just a lot more intriguing. Mm-hmm. And that's where Derek Gould was. He was the only reporter over there, but that's why he's Derek Gould,
Yep.
Because you had Zach Thompson starting, you had Victor Scott in center field, Brendan Donovan playing his first game at second base in a long time because coming back from that elbow. There were other guys too. There were a lot of guys that are in the mix and that you want to take a look at. Riley O'Brien was in that game. I'm leaving some people out, but you get the point.
Yep.
And Victor Scott's speed, that was the highlight of the weekend to me. His speed against the Mets. I mean, he hits a rocket up the middle that goes for a hit. I mean, he really did. That thing was just screaming. And then, whoever was the next batter, he hits one between the shortstop and second baseman, and there was a little indecision on their part. But it really didn't matter because by the time, whoever the hell it was that grabbed the ball, by the time they grabbed the ball, Victor Scott's already at second base. And this wasn't some play where they had to really go to their left. They really had to stretch. They had to cover a lot of ground to their left or to their right. No, it was a ground ball, not hit like a rocket, but certainly the kind of ground ball you would get a force out on, right?
Yep. Yeah.
No, he's like, hi, I'm here, hi, and then he ends up how did he get to third? I can't even remember now, but he he's an aggressive, very fast runner. And he took an extra base, basically stealing a base that's not technically a stolen base. But then he's on third, and he scores on a ground out. And it was a ground out that when he took off, it was any other guy. You'd say, well, what's he doing? He's going to, they got him. They're going to nail him. No. He pretty much beat the throw home, and the catcher was distracted. He probably didn't expect to see a guy flying in at him. And then a second run scored because catcher let the ball get away. So this guy made all this stuff happen. His second at bat of that game Sunday. So, and I was keeping an eye on the game in Jupiter and watching that on Bally Sports Midwest. But anyway, Victor Scott's fun to watch, man. He is a lot of fun to watch. And I hope he continues to turn some heads. Put him, what I hope for Victor Scott is he puts himself in position to where the Cardinals will have to make maybe a choice that's more difficult than they ever expected in terms of setting the opening day roster. Now, a lot would have to happen for that, including Tommy Edman not being ready to go. But I just want to see Victor Scott have an exciting camp and continue to press the action and make the case, because he provides a dimension that they do not have. They do not have. Only RBI today by Herrera. Good pitching. Too many walks, though. Roberse got the start. 2 innings, 1 hit, walk, 2 strikeouts. Gallegos came in. 1 inning, 1 earned run, hit, 2 walks. He gets the veterans pass on this. Kittredge looked good. 1 inning, 1 strikeout. He did walk someone. But again, I'm not getting caught up on that. Not yet. Connor Yerpe walked 2. He pitched 2 innings, 4 strikeouts, though. I think he's a little bit of a dark horse relief candidate because he's nasty. He's got that left-handed sidearm, almost submarine action. It's really hard for hitters to pick up the ball. The pride of Washington University here in my neighborhood, Ryan Lutos, 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, and some dude named Baker had a scoreless inning too. So they only allowed 3 hits today. Talking about 7 pitchers, they allowed 3 hits, although they did walk 6, but they struck out 9. So good pitching day for the Cardinals.